FPL lovers, welcome back to the FPL Focus Shed. It's me, Livesey Lovesit, and it's match day. Here we go. It's all about to kick off. A couple of hours until the deadline. Whether I'll be here that late, I'm not too sure. It's not the plan. I was planning to start half an hour ago, but a last-minute technical hitch has seen me decide. I saw the bitrate was running a bit slow, so I went to investigate. So, do say hello if you are on the stream. There will be a draft review question and answer towards the end, and yeah, I can drop those. You can drop those on these tweets if you like. This is Matt, who's asked me to have a look at his team. We'll do that a little bit later on. But for this show, this is the plan. Press conference summary, best fixtures analysis. I'll have a look at my watch list if you haven't seen that. I was on the stream yesterday. I'll be making my transfers live. I haven't made those yet, so that's up and coming. Good morning, Deadly Mantis. Good to have you on board, my friend. My final team selection, which will obviously occur after my my transfers have been done. We'll have a look at the captaincy. We'll run a little poll on that. We'll have a look at some artificial intelligence suggestions. I think I'm going Haaland, a little sneaky preview. And then every differential punt. And if you want to have your draft reviewed, not just by me, by anybody else who's watching the videos, just another opinion, of course. Please make your own decision. Clues in the name. Livesey loves it. I ain't no expert. And yeah, and any question answers, again, any opinions, and we'll dive into any stats and things like that if we need to. But nice calm. It's not we've got 2 hours until the deadline. There's no need to rush. Hope you've got your brew. I've got mine. If you haven't got one of these mugs, you can get yourself one and win one. As you can see, I've got another one just over here, waiting for the winner of the Who Really Lovesit League to get their I Love FPL mug. I'll send that anywhere worldwide. So, what we're saying there, Deadly Mantis. Oops, let me just bring it in here a bit. It's the evening here, 10 o'clock p.m. in New Zealand. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Looking to set your team before you go to bed. Other side of the world. Happy days. So yeah, that's the plan for the show. Right, so let's get started with beer in hand. Yeah, it's a bit early for me, mate. Got a little foggy head this morning, gotta be honest. So yeah, let's have a look at the press conference summaries then. See if that sort of affects any of our thinking going into this game week. So first off, we've still got Gabriel Jesus ruled out. We're still expecting Nketiah to be starting up front there for Arsenal. But also available now for them is the Leandro Trossard signing, which is very interesting, particularly for me, Martinelli owner. He does like to play on that left-hand side, although he can play anywhere across the top three. I don't think he starts, to be honest, today. I think he'll be somebody who comes in from the bench. Just my thoughts. And basically, you have to earn his place. So we'll see there, but he certainly makes things interesting in that position. Also, Smith Rowe on his way back as well. But Martinelli has been playing well all season. A couple of blanks in the last 2, but still, you know, getting into those positions and taking shots, isn't he? Aston Villa. I don't think anybody's owning Aston Villa players at the moment, are they? But certainly want to look out for game week 25. Their fixtures are turning, so keeping an eye on a couple of their players. Luca Dean, anybody gone there? Al, here's looking at you. But yeah, no, he's still out. But looking a much better team under Unai Emery, aren't they? Bournemouth, we're not there, are we? We won't waste any time on there. I don't think. Brentford, Tony's still not been banned or anything like that. Nothing's happened on that front. So I've seen he's been like one of the most signed players this game week, as people are jumping on him after his penalty last week. Again, he's good at winning them, isn't he? Get your arm in here, mate. Let me just, come on with me. Brighton ruled out Levi Colwill, Jacob Mulder, so no big players there that people are looking for. Still ruled out though is Reece James, Ben Chilwell, but they are back in training, which gives me a little bit of confidence moving forward. You know, that defence looked a lot better last week, and hopefully that will be the case going forward. But might play, and on the watch list at the moment, is Mudryk. So that'll be an interesting one to see what happens there. Palace, I just don't think anybody's going there. At least they got that lovely goal at the end, free kick, but it's not for me at this moment in time. I think they'll put a bit of more of a fight against Newcastle. That little bit of a win last minute, or sorry, that draw last minute feels like a win, doesn't it, when you get a goal like that in the last minute? Probably give them a little bit extra confidence, so not as easy a fixture, I think, for Newcastle as it would have been had they lost. Everton, no one's going there. Ruled out, still ruled out. Andros Townsend. Fulham, Anthony Robertson's back from suspension. At left back. Leeds United, interestingly, still a possible, a much better chance, by the way, now, as Manchester United have announced a provisional double game week for, let's have a look at it whilst we're on it. Ben Krellin on Twitter, if you don't follow him, at Ben Krellin. There's approximately a 70% chance of Man United and Leeds doubling in game week 22. It's been provisionally announced. If you look down his, if we click on Ben Krellin, actually, if you go to his tweets, he has retweeted the Man United official tweet from the club, which is there. Provisional date has been set for the home fixture against Leeds, and what that means is it'll only happen if Man United don't draw at home to Reading and Leeds don't draw away to Boreham Wood or Accrington next weekend. So as long as there's a winner in those FA Cup matches, then that game will go ahead. So we'd imagine they'll be decided on the day, not taken to a replay. Man United are at home. Leeds are away. Might be tougher that one than you think, to be honest. But I'm already there. I've got me triple Man United. And as we'll get to later, I'm considering a Leeds player for next week. Let's continue with the press conferences. Interestingly, Somerville's still out. Sinisterra is now available. He was playing well for them pre-World Cup. Leicester City, we're not there, but look how many ruled out. Johnny Evans, Pereira, James Justin. Defenders missing. Might play James Maddison. You know, he's been their go-to player, hasn't he? Their talisman. You know, he's hoping he can vault. I'm sure he is, because they look terrible. In fact, I'm planning on targeting them this week, and I think that's not the worst idea. Might play Darwin Núñez, so any Darwin owners still left out there? I think a lot did abandon last week for Kane whilst he was on the double, but if they are, then maybe it's hold if you were thinking of selling this morning. But he is a might play. Obviously, they've got Gakpo, who hasn't really set the world on fire. It's got a bit of notice, that I think. Not many people mentioning it. But still ruled out. Roberto Firmino, Virgil van Dijk. So, don't think that Liverpool defence is as strong as it has been in previous seasons, and not looking like it's going to be anytime soon. Up against Chelsea this weekend, obviously. Manchester City ruled out, none. Unless you're Pep Guardiola and you can't see that fire in the belly. Jesus Christ, he kicked up. Sorry, didn't mean to blaspheme. Oh my word, he absolutely ripped a new one, didn't he, for those players of Manchester City. If you haven't got fire in your belly, don't want to be playing for Man City at this moment in time. Ruled out for Manchester United in their biggest game of the season, arguably, against the current league leaders, Arsenal, Casemiro, which I think makes a big difference to their options. And might play Anthony Martial. I think that's always the case with Anthony Martial, isn't it? Unless set for when he's ruled out. Diogo Dalot might play. I think Wan-Bissaka's done okay. He just shows he's very limited going forward, isn't he? And I think that is why he's had the nod all season as well. But Wan-Bissaka certainly looked good defensively, but we sort of know that about him. I think Wan-Bissaka plays this game week, to be honest with you. Personally, only my opinion. Jadon Sancho might play. I think that's too early for him, to be honest with you. He's back in training. Certainly we're not going there. Ruled out for Newcastle United, 4 or 5 weeks. Bruno Guimaraes, doesn't have a time scale. Hope it's not long term. He's made good progress this week. Matt Target, Jonjo Shelvey. Ruled out for Nottingham Forest. This is going to be a few weeks. This is where I saw 4 to 5 weeks. Dean Henderson. We just added him to the watch list as goalkeepers, but certainly that for me rules out any any Nottingham Forest defenders. Nico Williams, if anybody's gone there. Are we going to go Serge Aurier? I think a few people tempted by that one, but without their best goalkeeper, I'd say that's a risky thing now. A risky choice to be making, personally. Southampton. I think the only player in consideration there is Ward-Prowse. He's okay. Spurs, Lucas Moura, so everybody else is fit. A bit tired. So Kulusevski, Bentancur, but only a bit of fatigue. So whether they start or not is another thing. And big news for West Ham. Danny Ings, if you've been a big Danny Ings fan, then he is back for West Ham United. He's playing for West Ham United, and I think he starts, to be honest with you. Today, he's got a good record against Everton, unfortunately. And I think David Moyes throws him in at the deep end. I really do. And look what Moyes had to say about him. Danny is as good as it gets. He's obviously bigging him up. Skamaka's got a bit of a knee injury, and I think there's a possibility, rumours that Antonio could be on his way out, so we'll see. Wolverhampton Wanderers, as long as Bueno's fit, that's all I'm worried about this moment in time, and he is. Okay, so that is the press conference summary. Let's have a look at the comments. Hassim Salem, Captain Haaland over KDB. Personally, I will be doing, because I think he's back, but KDB's had a rest. They're both due massive hauls, aren't they? I couldn't say one against the other, to be honest with you. If anything, the safer pick is probably Haaland. KDB, if you think Haaland, if he's going to score more than Haaland, really. I am going to look at the points prediction shortly. We will have a captaincy, a poll as we get to that section in the stream. Thanks for joining though, Hassan. Thanks for sharing your questions. Marjuk, thank you. Welcome to the stream, my friend. You have one free transfer. Should I go for Almiron to Saka and Mitro to Tony with a -4? I'd say Almiron have got Palace at home, so I'm not sure. And to Saka, I mean, I'm considering taking Almiron out, to be honest with you. But more so for Odegaard, if you haven't got Odegaard already. But Mitro to Tony, I think, is a good fit, is a good transfer. Just whether you need to go for the -4, because even though I'm taking Almiron out, I do have a little bit of fear that he is going to score against Crystal Palace today, to be honest with you. But I think Tony's a fantastic striker. He's number 3, sort of like on my list. He's not in my team at this moment in time. Ultimately, decision for you to make. That's my opinion, sir. Right, let's go and see what is next on the list. So we've looked at the press conference. Let's have a look at the best fixtures. So I'll have a look at a couple of sites. Let's start off with Fixture Analyzer. Let's look at the, just for today, 1 game week. So if you're wanting a 1-week punt to really bring your week into line before you go to next week, in terms of attack, top fixture this week, West Ham, Bournemouth up against Forest, I suppose because their keeper's out. Leeds, Man City, Fulham. This is for 1 game week. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting to be West Ham. Gutted about that. Fulham, Southampton, Leicester, Arsenal. I'm surprised Brighton aren't higher, to be honest with you, up against Leicester. You've obviously got to make your own mind up on these things. Defence. Bournemouth have got the best fixture for this week. I can't believe it. Up against Notts Forest. I'm not going there though, are you? Man City comes second, then West Ham. Everton getting a real slating on this. West Ham obviously the favourites to win at home today. Clubbing, we are a club in crisis, unfortunately. Southampton looking at best chance of keeping a clean sheet. Leeds, Liverpool. Surprisingly, Arsenal up against Man United aren't. Who's the favourite out of Arsenal and Man United? So Arsenal are more favourites to keep a clean sheet than Man United. That's looking a little bit more difficult. So for this 1 game week, pretty naff, to be honest with you. It's looks like we could be riding the wave and just hoping. Let's look over the next 6 game weeks. Realistically, I think that's where most of us are at. And in terms of attack, it's going to be Arsenal. They've got their double game week in 23. Man City also a double game week in 23. So I don't think... I mean, Saka's not the worst. You know, mentioning him earlier. He's not the worst at all. Michael, hello. Welcome to the stream. AI. Don't know what that means. It is artificial intelligence, but we do in the big review we use the eye test, and obviously this is just a guide if that's what you're getting at, my friend. Can't ditch Almiron versus Palace when Arsenal have United. Yeah, I think that as well. To be honest, I do think that if that's where you're going. However, I'm going for Brighton. Yeah, I think I'm going Matoma. I really do. Almiron to Mitoma is where I'm going to be going. Unless I can be persuaded otherwise during this stream. So yeah, so that's attack. In defence, we're looking next 6 game weeks. Man City, Arsenal, Brighton, Leeds, interestingly. Obviously, that's just one set of fixture data. If we go and have a look at Premier Fantasy Tools, as we look to sort of like keep our options open and just put a, informed opinion, if you like. They've got Brentford down as having a great fixture this week. Man City, this is just for one game week. Man City got the best fixture up against Wolves, so I think the captaincy, Haaland for me is where the captain's going to be going. Brentford, Tottenham, Leeds, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Southampton. That's just for one game week. This is in attack. As we can see, Arsenal coming 10th up against Man United. I don't see that as a high... But if there's an early goal, it could open up. It really could open up. Especially if it's United, I think. But we shall see. I think this is where the action's going to be at. Man City for me. Absolutely, that's the team to target. If you haven't got triple Man City, and Mahrez is looking better than ever. I mean, he's not on my bring-in list this week, but he's played every single game since game week 17. I mean, does that mean he's due a rest? I don't think so. Not with the way Pep's talking at the moment, if I'm going to be totally honest. Let's have a look at the next 6 game weeks then, in terms of offence, before we look at the defence. So, ranking... So Manchester City and Arsenal, obviously they've got their doubles in game week 23. I mean, they're the theoretically two best teams in the league as well. So that does play in, but they have got this extra fixture. So that is something to be considering if you're not looking like you're going to be on triple up for those 2 teams by game week 23. I'll be taking that into consideration with your transfers. And if you're looking to bring in an Arsenal player, maybe it's a case of rolling your transfer this week, Marjuk, and bringing those in next game week. Possibly who Fulham. I mean, Fulham have got Tottenham, but they're at home. Tottenham, conceded 4 goals in the second half. I wouldn't rule Mitrovic out for this game, to be honest with you. Had a rest in game week 19 as well, didn't he? So, should be firing on all cylinders. I'm not sure a -4 on that one is worth it, to be honest with you. So yeah, this is the next six game weeks. See, Leeds are popping up in there as well. Talking about Aston Villa, they do pick up from sort of game week 25 for them. They are on the radar. Let's have a look at defence. And it is Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Man United that make the sort of top list for defensive teams to target in the next 6 game weeks, which I think we've all sort of like got one of each of. I've got one of those, and then I've got a Wolves player. To be honest with you, who's not going to be featuring for the next 2 game weeks. He'll be last bench choice. Yeah, interesting. Look at Liverpool down in 11th. In terms of defence, that's interesting, isn't it? Never been down there before. Leeds obviously could be having a double in game week 22 as well. as Manchester United, so something also to consider as we shared before. What defender should I bring in with 6 million? If that was me, mate, £6 million. I mean, if you haven't got Trippier, which I'm assuming you have, then go for Shaw. If you haven't got Shaw, then go for Ben White. You don't need to spend your full 6 million. If you haven't got Shaw, and this is just my sort of taking, if you're not doubled up on the Newcastle defence, maybe Shah, possibly Estupinian. Brighton have got Leicester, Bournemouth, Palace, Fulham, Newcastle in the next sort of fixtures. I don't think that's as tough a fixture as it looks there. Leicester, to be honest with you. Hence why we have to make our own minds up. These are just a guide. So yeah, that's the fixture analysis then. Which fixtures anybody target? Oh, let's just have a look in terms of the defence. Who's the bottom of the list? We should be and who we should be targeting against. So, any teams that are playing Bournemouth, Palace, Leicester, Everton, they've got the worst defences at this moment in time. I think Villa are down here because they've got Man City, Arsenal in this sort of like list here. But as you can see, Leicester here, they're right down there without, well, they've got Arsenal, but they haven't got City in this run. So, teams playing those: Brighton this week, Newcastle, West Ham. Anybody going to go Danny Ings? Anyone going to go Danny Ings? There, you're welcome, Michael. Don't forget, if you are watching now, join the league. Code's in the description below, and we can bring your team up nice and easy if we need to on the stream. Not a problem, and you got a chance of winning the mug. Right, so that's fixture analysis. Back to the list. What are we going to look at? Right, the watch list. So, let me take this away and bring that up. And I just need to click a button here. This is my watch list. So, no, I've just done something I don't want to do. Hold on. That one. Right, so this is my watch list. And do let me know, by the way, is the video jumping a little bit today? I've tried to do something a bit different to try and improve the quality on my old computer. So if the stream quality, if you're a regular viewer and the stream quality is improved, then please do let me know. So my watch list. Apologies if you watched the stream yesterday and you've seen this already before, but these are my opinions on the players that I'm sort of keeping an eye on and might help you with in terms of who you might want to target. What's going on here? White screen, that's not helpful, is it? Let's let it think a second. That's really not helpful. That was all set up nicely. We're going to have to close it and start again. That's annoying in the middle of a stream. It is an online app, it's Canva. I'm going to have to close it down and start again. My apologies for this, boys and girls. This is an opportunity, like whilst this happens, to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's also an opportunity to jump on, join the league. Yeah, get in there. Have a sip of me brew whilst this is loading. And you can just, yeah, sit and join with me as I try to get this working. Where's the share button? Live TV. Live TV. Right. Share. Present. Not supposed to see this bit. Ben White. yes, mate. Right. I don't want the full screen view. Oh my word. It's all gone Pete Tong. Oh my word. I do apologise. I don't want to be in full screen. I will present a view. Share. going to give up in a second. Well done anybody who's staying with me. I can only apologise. I need a new computer. I need to find a way of making some money off this so I can buy a new computer, basically. I just don't know how at this minute. And this just keeps happening. I don't want it in full screen mode. Why is it doing this to me? Why is it being mean? It's not giving me the option. More. No. Exit full screen. That's annoying. That's annoying. There's no one left, is there? Yeah, there's 2 of you left watching my disaster. I don't know what to do it. Right, can I? I'll tell you what I can do. I can make it full screen. Give us a sec. Give us a sec. Worked hard on this, you see. I have worked hard on this. Let's add a source. Let's take it full screen. I won't be able to see your comments as I'm doing it. Maybe. Let's add a source. Desktop capture. Let's go full screen. It's not going to have a border on it. Let's get rid of that top one there. Right, and let's make this. Let's make it full screen. Let's do that. I know it looks a bit random. Do apologise. But hey, this is how we roll. This is the, if you're interested, this is the XSplit broadcasting thing that I use. Let's see if we can make that full screen. No, that's not full screen there. It's on some sort of like play thing now, so let's take it to here. My watch list. Let's pause it. Right, that should come up. Look at that. That's funny. Me going loads down into there. Oh, I've got the wrong desktop on, haven't I? That's annoying. Divvy. I'm bringing it. I'm doing it. I'm not giving up yet. Desktop chapter, because I've got 2. I've gone for the wrong one, haven't I? Desktop 2. There we go. Right. It's not got a border. It's got a play button in the middle. But there we go. So we are going to make it work. So here's my goalkeepers. Thank you for anybody who stayed with me. I can't see if you have or not now, but thank you very, very much. So the goalkeepers that I'm rating at the moment, this is in rank order. Pope for Newcastle, away at Crystal Palace this week, and just been, banging in clean sheets all season. Sanchez for Brighton, looking great underneath Zerbi. Brighton are and have some good fixtures in the run up. On the next few games, and then Martinez, but he's a long watch. He's only got the 1 blue heart. This is my rating system: 5 blue hearts for an absolute must get. 4, 3, 2, 1, as you can imagine. 1 blue heart Martinez because of that length of time. Let's drag this on to defenders. Defenders, there we go. So pause Shah. I've only got 2 that I'm backing, and it's Shah at Newcastle. I know a lot of people have got Botman, but I think if you can afford Shah, he's a better option. He's taking some free kicks and has that more attacking potential, basically. But if you haven't got enough money, obviously Botman's a good option, although he has increased in price during the week. And then Estupinian at Brighton is somebody I'm not massively taken on it, but up against Leicester this week, so got a really good fixture. Yeah, I think I'd just be sticking with the players I've got at this moment in time if I was, but if I needed a play, I think he would be where I would go in that sort of sense. Let's move on to the midfielders. These are my midfielders. Let's pause this. Odegaard is the main man for me. 5 blue hearts on the rating. Oh, I've just paused. Undone it. Oh, what an idiot. Trying to look more professional, and I'm looking more rubbish. Odegaard, yes, at 5 blue hearts. Mitoma at 4. As you can see, he is probably the player I'm bringing in. I can't afford Odegaard this week, and I'm not taking a hit, not for an Arsenal player up against Manchester United. So it's Mitoma that I look to bring in this week. But I could go back to Odegaard, sorry. I do intend to bring him in before game week, or for game week 23. Mitoma is my target for this game week, and I'm probably going to go and bring him in very shortly. Ward-Prowse comes in at 3 hearts. Bear in mind, this is all ranked, so if you see there's 3 players here with 3 hearts, I rate Ward-Prowse as the higher, better option out of these 3, basically. Then Mahrez at City, I think his minutes are as guaranteed as any of the midfielders outside Kevin De Bruyne for Man City. He's probably at the top of the list, although, as we all know, it's not guaranteed. Rodrigo's back for Leeds, and they've got some good fixtures coming up. Did well, scored in midweek in the FA Cup. Solly March for Brighton. I know for a lot of people, he's ahead of Mitoma. Just when you compare the two's underlying stats, and I know it's all about stats, and the eye test says March has been playing really well, and he smashed it last week. Let's be honest. But is he going to get, 2 goals again in another game? Did he get his assist as well? So I think he got that as well. I just think Mitoma is the better long-term pick for me. Not to say March isn't going to return in the next few game weeks as well, but said on yesterday's stream, he scored 5 goals this season. His personal target for the season set by De Zerbi is 10, with almost 20 games left to go. That's sort of 1 in 4 that he's targeting. So that's like a, almost a stretch target. So I think he's done really well recently. I just wonder, if he'll be watched a little bit more by the opposition more than he has been. So I'm not expecting that to fully continue. Doesn't mean he might not return today up against Leicester. But yeah, it's one of those, I suppose. For somebody else, he might be higher up. Mitoma might be lower down. Just my opinion. Then I'm watching Bailey for future, and Mudryk for future as well. So they're not bringing, at the moment, they're almost a long-term watch to see how they go. But they could well climb the rankings in the next couple of game weeks. Let's move on to the forwards. Just let it play. Let it play. There we go. And so there's my forwards. And top of the list, Tony. As you can see, I had someone asking about him before, whether I should bring him in or not. He's my sort of, if I could have another forward in my forward line alongside Harry Kane and if I could afford him, it would be Tony. Second on my list is Nonto. Got Newcastle this week. No, he's not from Newcastle. He's from Leeds. Sorry about that. I've got those two. You can see I've done a bit of copy and pasting, and I've not done it properly because Tony plays for Brentford, and Nonto plays for Leeds, doesn't he? It's so annoying. Really amateurish this morning. But Nonto is basically the player I think I'm going to bring in next week, and part of the reason I am going to be transferring Almiron to Mitoma to free up a little bit of funds for that double game week of 70% chance, as we discussed previously. Originally this week I thought I might bring Ferguson as an upgrade, so bring in one of those Brighton players up front instead of Greenwood, because I've got 0.6 in the bank. But I'm just a little bit sceptical on Almiron, as we've talked about as this week's gone on. Okay, so that's my watch list. That brings me to, which I've just got one more slide here, that brings me to Evie's weekly differential punt, and that is James Ward-Prowse of Southampton. And he says he's 5.3% owned, so a real differential for you there, and a good set of fixtures coming up. I'm assuming he's watched him last week as an Everton fan as well, and he did. I've got to agree with this. He ripped a new one into Everton last time out, although it isn't a biggie at the minute, to be fair, but he's playing in that number 10 role. I saw him first hand last week, hence why he's so high at my list, to be honest with you, just because I saw the whole game of him playing, and he was in the middle of everything. 2 goals and an assist for James Ward-Prowse last week in that new role, and Nathan Jones talking about him in like a real like he's a god basically, and he's untouchable, and he's the main man. So his confidence, I'm assuming, is going to be sky high at this minute in time. If not his golf. Yeah, so he's Evie's differential punt for this game week. Do let me know in the comments if you think that's a good option or not. If you're going to go for him, if you've already got him and you bargain, you know, got all those points into your team as of last week. Now that's section over. Let's take that away. Let's bring back my reliable, not that one there. Where's Tidsonet? Oh God, that one. There we go. Let's close all them off. Right. Let's close this down. I've got this up here still. High screen. And that can go. Thank you for anybody who stayed with that. My apologies, and I'll try and, like I said, that is a sort of new thing I'm trying to use in the streams. I'm trying to make it look a little bit more professional. Oh dear. Happy Saturday, everybody. Just going to take a breather for a second. So what's next? So captaincy. Right, let's start a debate. Get your suggestions in for captaincy. We'll start a poll. Let's have a look. So let's start a poll up now. I'll get that star typed in the background. So start a poll. We're up again. So captaincy. Because it looks like Haaland's back, but there was a question earlier, and I say it looks like he's back. He's scored 1 goal in the last 3 games. I think that, you know, I personally think that means he's back, but is De Bruyne a better option this game week? Who else? Who else could we put in for as a good option this game week? Let's have a look at the points predictor. Let's have a look at the points prediction and who is predicted to get the highest points this game week. I'm thinking Harry Kane, possibly. There we go, up against Fulham. So I'm going to put Harry Kane in. That's sort of confirmed it for me. He's predicted to score highly up against the second highest prediction this game week. Son. Salah against Chelsea. I don't see that one. Tony. Thoughts on Tony, Lance? Well, he's got a great fixture up against Leeds this game week, hasn't he? So yeah, he's a great player. He's on penalties. Great player to have. And Rashford, I'm not sure if this is the week to bring Rashford in up against Arsenal, but it's a big game and anything can happen. Not for me though, to be honest with you. That's a way. I'll maybe bring him in next week, and I certainly won't be bringing him in for a hit this game week. Didn't look at his total best last week, but I think that was all due to his wanting to get the record. Well, I've got 3 captaincy options here, guys. I've got Haaland, De Bruyne, Kane. Is Rashford a suggestion from you, Lance, up against Arsenal? What do you guys think? Anybody else going anywhere else for their captaincy this week? Salah an option against Chelsea? You're going for the KDB captain this week. Deadly Mantis. Good shot. He's had a rest, hasn't he? To be honest, and he is due like a big haul, and he is more than capable, isn't he? We know he is. It's going to be a big game, isn't it? I think I can see a hammering for Wolves here. I can see an absolute hammering. He was a captaincy choice. Okay, well I'm just gonna go with the 3 unless anybody comes up with someone possibly better. Tell you what about Danny Ings up against Everton? Oh God. Anyone think that's a good captaincy choice? It's a punt, isn't it? It's a cheeky differential punt of a captaincy choice. Right, I'm going to go with the 3. Haaland, De Bruyne or Kane. That's it. That's the community. Right, captaincy polls open. 3 choices, guys. Get your votes in now, and do remind me shortly who you're going to vote for. I'm tempted by De Bruyne, but I'm just on the Haaland boat this moment in time. Anyone down for a cheeky Maguire captain? Not on this stream, mate. I ain't the United fan. Definitely not. Ben Rama versus the Toffees, yeah. I think anybody. I think anybody versus the Toffees is you know, could be a good shout, to be honest. Certainly if you're after that differential captaincy choice this week. I think Ings could be you know, could be one. Although I do fully expect us to go up there and shut up shop and almost play for the draw, to be honest with you, and see if we can get anything on the counter. I think that'll be the tactics that Frank Lampard employs. I can see us playing Ben Godfrey at right back, for example, instead of Seamus Coleman. I can see that happening. Maybe 5 at the back. Ronnie, mate, good to have you on board. How you doing? How you doing? Just got a captaincy debate on at the moment. I'll tell you what I'll go and do, actually. I'll go and have a look on... went through the press conference before. Another thing that's worth a look at is this is Premier Fantasy Tools, and I've only just spotted this last week, to be honest with you, is every week he publishes the all-time top managers template team, which is a team generated based on ownership from the top 20 career managers. So this is, you know, something that this site does. So it's how they've done over time. So it's not just this season. We also explore potential transfers last week as any differentials to target. So it's obviously last week's data, but it's just a little bit of an interesting to see who they're owning. So Kepa in goal and Ward in 100% of these 20 teams. Shaw, Trippier, White, Patterson, Bueno in defence. Rashford, Martinelli, De Bruyne, Andreas Almiron. Interestingly, not Odegaard, my main sort of target. I wonder if that'll change this week. Haaland, Mitrovic and Kane. So I wonder what these top 20 will make as a choice next week. We could have a look at this again. But I think, you know, those are excellent choices. The differentials in there with less than 10% ownership are Kepa in goal, Patterson, although he's injured at the moment, so I won't go in there. Bueno, who's in 35% of these teams, but in 6% overall. Botman in 25% of these teams, but 5% overall. And Doherty, personally, I'm not going for Doherty. Don't want to agree with these great career managers, mind. The top transfers they had in last week was Kane, De Bruyne, Botman, Doherty and Ake. And top transfers out was Darwin, Cancelo. So anybody thinking, should I be transferring these players out? Maybe free up funds there. I'm not saying you should do it, but some of the best career managers out there have abandoned them in their teams already. This is their most owned top 25 players, so I won't read them all out. But Kepa in all of them, interestingly, Ward, Haaland, Shaw, Rashford. Interesting to see what happens with Mitrovic next week in this cross-section of managers. Is he going to be on penalties? I'm not convinced. White, Martinelli, De Bruyne, Andreas, Kane, Almiron, Patterson. Yep. And these are the chips they used last week. Chips usage. Last week, wildcard, one of them. Oh, everybody. No one's used their second wildcard yet. A lot of people, 60% of this slot using their triple captain. And I'm assuming that's on Haaland. So I think the triple captaincy is going to be one of those. Sometimes on a certain week, it can really affect you. It's a case of when you use it. Generally, I think we're all pretty much going to be most on the same sort of captain anyway. So it's only like an individual score of that captaincy. Yeah. One of those, use it when you feel it's right. So that I found interesting. Don't forget, if you've just joined, do vote on the captaincy poll. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Thoughts on Matoma, Lance? I'm bringing him in. So those are my thoughts. I think it's a fantastic option. Got some great fixtures. Yeah, very shortly I shall go and do that transfer myself. And it's for Almiron. That's where I'm up to. Which one would you bench out of Shaw and Ben White? Well, I have those two players in my team, so I shall go there in a moment. For me, it's Kepa versus over Ward. I've got that. I don't have Ward, I have Everson, but I would have Kepa over Ward. He's in the top percentile performing managers I've seen this week. So that's a normal one. That's for me. It's up against Liverpool, who haven't looked great. I know they've sort of a bit of a yo-yo team. 1 week looking like they're back to their best, and then a couple of weeks where they're not. Excuse me a moment. And then the other thing I'm going to do, let's go and have a look and see on this particular website as well, Premier Fantasy Tools. Hope you're watching, Mark. Mark is a member of our league, the website designer. They have some like captaincy pickers, bench recommendations. So if we go into captain picker, got my team sort of like uploaded in this, and see who the AI says I should be picking here. Just going to add Mitoma into this list. Okay, and take out Almiron. And see what it recommends here. So it's recommending Erling Haaland as my number 1 choice, Harry Kane as my number 2, and then my number 3 is Kieran Trippier, which sort of makes sense, to be honest with you. Kieran Trippier's delivered all season long. A lot of people asking about defenders. Okay, we'll go and have a look at some analysis on my defence in a moment. I've sort of got that lined up already. A differential captain. Mitoma's coming up as the number 1 choice as a differential. So it's all obviously this artificial intelligence on this site is predicting he's going to have a good score this game week. For like the most out of the less 10% less owned, more than Fernandez, who comes in second against Arsenal. I wouldn't be going there myself. And Rico Lewis, I'm not convinced he's going to start. I think he will, to be honest, but not convinced. Right, let's have a look at some of these defenders then. I set this up earlier. This is FPLfactory.com. The link is in the description below, and I've set up my 4 defenders, which are Bueno. Basically, Trippier starts no matter what. So these are my other 4 defenders. Bueno, Rico Lewis, Luke Shaw and Ben White. And this is looking at their performance in the last 5 game weeks. And basically, it's able to compare. As we can see, obviously you've got to look at the fixtures today, but this is looking at what they've done. And you've obviously got your own sort of eye test where you've been watching the games as well. But in terms of total points, it's Luke Shaw that tops it in the last 5 game weeks with an average of 6.3 over those game weeks. Ben White comes in second at 5.8. His have been a little bit more consistent. Luke Shaw had a few big bangs and then 2 points in the last 2 game weeks, so not a total accurate picture there. And they have got Arsenal this game week, so there's some decisions to make. Influence on the game, that's been Luke Shaw tops that one. Although, interestingly, Bueno's had a bigger influence than Rico Lewis. So, I'm looking at my bench order with this sort of thing as well. Attacking stats. Luke Shaw's had 1 in that period of time. This is per 90, by the way. So, per 90. Expected goals, 0.1. So, Luke Shaw's the only one with expected goals there. So, we'll change this to total in a minute. Total shots on target. We're not expecting this from Ben White, but Rico Lewis, interestingly, has the highest there. Total shots on target. So that's interesting. He's obviously playing in this double pivot role. Should I start White over Cancelo? For me, if you've got Cancelo, but the thing is he going to start this game? Is he going to start? White is definitely a guaranteed start, I'd say. Although they have the tougher fixture up against Man United, but they had a tough fixture against Spurs last week. Cancelo has the highest ceiling, though, if he starts. He didn't come on midweek. Maybe he's been rested. Oh, it's a tough one, mate. It's a tough one. You should do what you feel. If that was me, though, and I had to make the decision right now, I think I would go with the guaranteed starter in Ben White. But for sure, Cancelo would be my first bench option. That's what I would do, mate. Hope that goes well for you. Let me know what you do. Hope that helps. In terms of defence, clean sheet, Ben White's been... It's player that's smashing it. Bueno's doing better than Lewis at City, but they're up against each other today, and I'm expecting City to get a cricket score there. And I'd go with Kepa to start. Al Nazir, do join the league, my friend. Lewis is more likely to get a yellow card. Interesting. And we'll look at the upcoming fixtures for the next few game weeks. I'm not looking at bringing any of these in, but just looking at today, you can see Rico Lewis has got the easiest fixture, followed by Ben White, according to this website, followed by Luke Shaw. Okay, let's go back to the where we're up to now. We've done the differential punt. If you've got any drafts or anything like that you want me to review, or any questions, do drop them below this punt, this tweet here. I'm going to have a look at, I've got one sent to me by Matt Lowell that I'm going to have a look at shortly. I must let him know as well. But let's go and do my final bit of business, because I haven't made my transfer yet. I'm going to do that now. Before I do, is there any sort of like news out there? Don't forget to vote on the captaincy poll, by the way, if you just joined the stream. Let's go and have a look at my transfers. Oh, a bit out of breath. Ooh, give us a sec. Get a little bit lightheaded occasionally. Right, I'm just going to go onto Twitter and see, is there any last minute news on Mitoma? Before I transfer him in. So look at the latest. Okay, there's not any like news here. Let's have a look at the Brighton. There we go. He's featured in the warm-up pictures 11 hours ago last night as well. So yeah, I'm going there. Just check on my team. Anybody been flagged? No, they haven't. So I'm assuming everything's all good. Should I start White for Foden? Oh, mate, you said that's not an easier one. Anybody else watching want to comment and let Al Nazir know what they think? I think so, because I think Grealish starts. Putting in tackles, wasn't he, in the last game? I think it's Grealish, Mahrez, Haaland up top, but we do know the rotations there, so please do make your own choices. Anybody else want to get in on that one? White or Foden? I think you go for the guaranteed start. I really do, and as you can see, I don't have Foden in my team, but I have White. Right, I'm going to go and make my transfer, and I am going. Let me show you why before I do it. Let me just double check. I'll do a player comparison here. Oh, got a message off Evie. He's watching in the kitchen on the big telly, so you're full family viewing now. Like the infinite screen stretching off into the horizon. Yeah, cheers, mate. Well, good morning to the Evans family. Welcome. Over in Trevrew, North Wales. So let's have a look and see why I'm transferring Almiron out. Basically, it's based on the eye. The eye test said to me, and this was my feeling watching the Newcastle game the other day, Almiron was taken off when Newcastle needed a goal. Okay, so I think earlier in the season he would have been one of the last players to come off when Newcastle needed a goal. So I just don't think he's in the biggest amount of form or the greatest form at this minute in time. And when I went and dug that out, if we look at his form for the whole season, for example, these two players, Mitoma obviously hasn't played as many games. This is per 90, but as you can see, there's not much in it. He's obviously had 109 points. This is when you look at the totals, but per start, 5.746. Matoma just edges it slightly in terms of points delivery. In terms of expected per start, per goals is 0.7, 0.50, 0.11 on the assists. Matoma's higher on 0.3. This is per start again. But when you adjust the fixtures to game week 17 onwards, when you adjust the fixtures to game week 17 onwards, it's a hell of a difference. Look at this here. In terms of expected goals, 2.4 total for Matoma, 0.59 versus 0.17, and goals are where it's at for midfielders. In terms of assists, 0.2. I mean, he hasn't had any. 2 goals and an assist in that period for Matoma, and he looks like getting more, doesn't he? That's the key. You watch him play, and he looks the absolute danger man. And with Trossard now moving to Arsenal, who's his biggest threat for that left sort of winger position, I think he's a nailed-on player right now. Putting in more crosses, hasn't created as many chances. To be fair, but his expected assists are higher. Good morning, Penguin. How you doing, mate? Good to have you on board, Calvin. How do you fancy your chances against Chelsea this week, mate? I don't know what I fancy for our boys down at West Ham. I'm gonna be honest. A Tonkin, maybe. So yeah, this is basically why I'm going for Matoma. So I'm off to do it. I'm off to do it. Let's do it right now. No more messing about. Remove this player. Select replacement. Let's just type it in the top because I can't afford Odegaard. He's the player I want the most, without a doubt. Matoma. He's in. Let's make the transfer. Done. Transfer is complete. That feels nice. Plenty of time to go. Another hour until the deadline to go. So very happy with that at all. Right, let's just rearrange my team now. It's already rearranged. I've got my captaincy on Haaland. I've currently got Luke Shaw on the bench just because Casemiro's out. Abdullah, good morning. Welcome back to the stream, mate. What do you think of Shea Adams? He's an alright player. Let's have a look at his stats. He wouldn't be who I'd bring in. If I was bringing in a budget striker at this moment in time, mate, according to my watch list and the player I'm looking at, I'm bringing in Nonto for Leeds. Have a quick look at the fixture difficulty. Where is it? Have I closed it down? No, let's go back up and open it again. So Shea Adams. So Southampton, in terms of attack, they've got Villa, who have looked a bit better, haven't they? To be honest with you. Brentford, Wolves, Chelsea, Leeds, Leicester. In terms of attacking fixtures, they are 10th. Leeds, as you can see, they've got this game week 22. This provisional game, this double game week. I think Nonto, personally, that's my personal opinion, at £5 million, if he's not increased in price, I don't think he has. Yeah, he's the one for me in terms of a budget striker, and that's who I'm planning to bring in next week. First bench, Shaw or Andreas? I think Andreas out of those two. Fulham have got Tottenham, they're playing at home. Tottenham's defence looks leaky. Andreas's Arsenal's attack looks potent. Man United have been letting some goals in, although they have looked better, but they've not. It's not clean. Loads of clean sheets. They've not had a clean sheet in the last two. So, and they're up against the league leaders and the best team in the league at this moment in time, bar none, in my opinion. Okay, so we are at the stage. I think I've gone through the whole list now. Let's have a look and see. Matt, let me just reply to him and just say reviewing. Going to review this on stream now. See if he joins us. Sent it me privately. I was in bed, mate, 11 o'clock last night. What old man? Let's see if he comes in and joins us. His team, let's give him a moment to do just that. Any more questions? First bench, Andreas or Shaw? Done that one already. If you want to drop questions into the comments there, if you want to send me your drafts, then just do so underneath this. You can either direct message me or drop it under this tweet just here. No problem whatsoever. And let me know you have done so. I'll keep an eye on that for a second. So yeah, no, I don't fancy the Shea Adams shout, to be honest, mate. Boom, 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 boom. I am going to be going shortly. Otherwise, let's just make sure my team is happy. I'm very happy with that. As you can see, I'm playing Lewis ahead of Luke Shaw. I think he's due. I think he's going to score, you know. I think he wants a goal. I think he starts as well. I think he played really well. Played really well. He's been playing really well, hasn't he? And Pep's looking for that team that's going to got a bit of fire in their belly, and he's been. Well, Pep, I quote Pep on him saying that he's been fundamental. When he came on in the game and said he improved all the players around him, Rodri, yeah, all the players, like 3 or 4 players he named, once Lewis was playing, he improved their performance. And he looks like an absolute baller, doesn't he? A proper player, tough in the tackle. Got his legs stood on twice and just got up and carried on with it. And the other thing is, I think he's likely to go off early. So if they have got a clean sheet in the bag, a lot of City's goals this season have come late. He is likely. He was taken off in the 80th minutes or so the other day. Looked knackered as well, to be fair. He is still getting used to the rigours of the Premier League. Maybe that means it's due a rest this week. Possibly. But no, I think he's likely to be taken off early and could have those clean sheets in the bag before Man City concede their late goal. You think he starts this game as well? Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. I hope so too. But yeah, that's my team. And like my thoughts moving forward, I've now got what have I got if I go to my transfers page? I've now got 1.3 million in the bank. Next week I'll be upgrading Greenwood to Nonto, as long as there's no injuries to my team during this game week. But that's the plan for next week, ready for the double in game week 22. Who I'm going to rest, I don't know. Maybe possibly Matoma, even after I've just bought him in this week. And then the following game week, I'm going to be looking to bring in Odegaard. And it's just a case of, is it going to be for De Bruyne, Fernandes or Rashford? That's a big choice, to be honest with you. A really big choice, but I'll be monitoring those 3 in the next game week. But quite a nice position to be, because, like I say, Arsenal have got that double game week. Which 3 of those players am I going to be taking out? I mean, possibly, if Martinelli starts losing some minutes to... what's his name? Trossard, then I could well bring in, as it stands now, could I do it? Let me just have a look. Let's bring Nonso in. Let me just see if I've got enough money for this, or am I planning things for the future that I can't do? But I like Nonto. He just looks exciting, doesn't he? Don't you think? So I like Nonto. And then that leaves me with 0.5 in the bank. Not that I want to take Martinelli out, but if he starts losing like some minutes to Trossard, then I will. I want both of them, to be honest with you. Odegaard still at 6.8. So So that leaves me 0.1 in the bank. So there's every possibility I could do that. Yeah, next week everyone's going to be targeting Man United and Leeds players, and I can bring in Nonto fairly early. Keep an eye on that. Just thinking out loud here. And my Man United players hopefully increase in price. People will be targeting Arsenal the week after, I would imagine, for game week 23 alongside Man City, who I'm already tripled up on. I would like to go triple Arsenal though. But yeah, that's an option. And then obviously I can go with any of these players, De Bruyne, Fernandes or Rashford to Odegaard if I need to. In game week 23, no problem at all, because I've got more than enough funds to reset my team to what it is currently. So yeah, those are my thoughts moving forward. But I like the thought of Mitoma and Nonto in my team. Differentials. He's now, what is he, 2.8% owned. That has almost doubled from his 1.4% the other day. So a few people going for him, like yesterday and this evening. Hello, Nathan. How you doing, mate? So anybody wants their draft reviewed, like I said, drop it into my into Twitter, FPL Livesey Lovesit, at Livesey Lovesit. And I'm going to have a look at Matt Lowell's team. He sent it to me earlier. Let's have a look at this then. Anybody wants to give their opinion on this team, then please do. But he's on a wild card, so any choices to be made can be made whatsoever in this. So what are my first thoughts? Well, my first thoughts are I wouldn't triple up on the Newcastle defence, Matt. Pope in goal, Trippier, and then Botman. I think all of them are good choices in their own right. If I was going to abandon one of those, I'd say Botman would be the one to abandon and take him out of your team. I don't think you're going to be starting him very often with Shaw, White, and Stones in your team anyway. So I would save some extra money there and bring in basically Bueno at Wolves. Yeah. Because you've used your 3 City spots, so Lewis isn't available there for you. I like the midfield. I think possibly is Odegaard possibly a better option than Saka again. Could save you some money and gives you an option to upgrade elsewhere. Possibly got Fernandes next game week, who could be a big option. Proved a big player in the last double game week, getting 19 points. Can he do the same again in game week 22 in the provisional game up against Leeds being added to the list? That's possibly a miss out, I think, here in this team for you. I'm not going to say Mahrez is a bad pick whatsoever, because he's been fantastic all, since game week 17. He's featured in every single game. Started all of them bar one, and he played 30 minutes of that game and got a goal. So I think he is the first name, after Kevin De Bruyne in the team for City at this moment in time. Depends if he changes tactics, but he's had fire in his belly, so he starts. What do you guys think? Does Mahrez start? Let's end this captaincy poll. Let's end this captaincy poll right now. And it is 90% on Haaland and 10% on De Bruyne. So a few people go in for a little cheeky punt. And Kane, 0%. That's 10 votes. It does look pretty good, doesn't it, this team? I like the Tony up top alongside Kane and Haaland. Fantastic option. Fantastic option. And sometimes it's easy to focus on the players you haven't got rather than the players you have got. And these players all look like good players. I mean, Saka's on penalties. These are the arguments for, I suppose. Odegaard, I think is, at this moment in time, got more guaranteed minutes than Martinelli, as we've just talked about. Stones looks like one of the more nailed-on defenders for City alongside... So I'd say Ake looks fairly nailed, and so does Akanji, but then... Diaz is back in training, and we all know what a good player he is as well. So it's a tough one in the City defence. Hence why I've gone for just the budget. Rico Lewis in defence. I prefer Mitoma over March. I just think March has slightly outperformed his stats. I don't know if he can keep up that level of performance. It feels a little, to me, and I could be completely wrong here, and he could smash it again this week against Leicester. For me, it feels a little bit like chasing the points. I personally think Mitoma is the better long-term option, and £0.1 billion cheaper as well. But overall, mate, it's a really good team. It's got bench boost capability. All starting players. Choice headaches every week. That's the only thing, because you've not got any of your like real bargain basements. But yeah, that's a choice headache today already, isn't it? March is up against Leicester. He could have a good game. Botman up against Crystal Palace. Arguably, is it a good choice to, in that team to start Crystal Palace. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Anybody else got any thoughts on those? Do share them for Matt. If you want your draft reviewing, then if you're a member, of the league, then let me know, or do a screenshot and send it to me on Twitter. Just answer any more questions now. Let's have a look. Let's just put my team back in the frame here. That's how it stands at this minute in time. Let's just have a look at the comments first. So Abdullah, also Newcastle could have a blank in game week 25. Absolutely, as could Brighton. So hence why I've gone for those sort of two teams. Man United could have a blank as well. And I'll certainly be, we'll get a bit more information closer to the time, won't we? Before game week 22 kicks off? Can't remember. Yes, also with the Newcastle, yeah, I just don't like the triple Newcastle defence. That was my biggest thing with that. Mystical, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much. Good to have you back on board. Should you sell Reece James for a Newcastle or Brighton defender to replace Shaw, or sell Mount for Mitoma or Fernandes? Should I sell Reece James for a Newcastle or Brighton defender to replace Shaw? Oh, you're doing a double hit? I don't quite understand that bit. Reece James isn't going to play today, but he is back in training. So if he's a player that, he's got a very high upside, for me personally, I want to see him play a few games first. Selling Reece James, though, next game week. So we're all, if you've got a bench that can cope with it, maybe not. I think if you've held on to him this long, maybe he is somebody that could get you some points in the coming game weeks. I'm certainly keeping hold of Kepa after I was debating worth selling him. I think there's some clean sheets on the way for Chelsea. Sell Mount for Mitoma or Fernandes. Well, I've just brought Mitoma in today, so I think he's a great signing. I haven't got Mount anywhere near my watch list whatsoever. He's playing, he's getting minutes, but he's not prolific, and he's burnt me already this season, burnt me last season. He's not a player that I'm in consideration whatsoever. So for me, he's the weakest link out of Reece James and Mitoma. I wouldn't look to replace Shaw with their double game week coming up. And Fernandes is a good one to bring in, but maybe for next game week more so, because they are playing Arsenal this week. So I'm sort of forced to ride with it. And he could be playing in this game week. Start Kepa or Ward. For me, if I had Ward, I'd be starting Kepa over him up against Liverpool. Let's be honest, they've not looked great this season. And Leicester have looked absolutely terrible. So that would be my choice personally. Please do make your own. Let's compare. If we look at the fixtures, how do they sort of fare in the defence? Kepa v Ward. Who's got the easiest fixture? Let's look just one game week. Liverpool at 12th, Chelsea 19th. So Chelsea is saying here, I've got a really tough fixture up against I think you've got to use your eye test a little bit here. I don't think Liverpool are the team that they once were. I think there's a little bit of past season coming into this. But how long do we go into? We're halfway through the season now. They're mid-table. They're not going to qualify for the Champions League. There, I said it. I don't think we can put our eggs into the Liverpool basket at this moment in time. Virgil van Dijk's out injured. And Chelsea have got Mudryk starting for them. You know, couple of new signings. I know Gakpo's played a couple of games for Liverpool, but no one's looking at bringing Gakpo in, are they? I don't believe it. Like goalkeeper rotation, to be honest with you, I've sort of abandoned it myself. Hence why I've got Everson as my backup on the bench, because I'm just too tempted and I just keep making the wrong decisions. I think you've just got to stick with who you think is going to get you the most points. And it's just, yeah, it can just hurt. It's a gamble that pays off occasionally. But it's one of those can come and hurt. Even if you're up against a great team, you've got save points. You might have a penalty save in there. But yeah. Ward, where does Leicester come? '15th. So they're both tough fixtures, aren't they? According to this and according to the eye test as well. I mean, according to this, Brighton have got a tougher, you know, more chance of like conceding than Leicester. I don't believe that. So you have to make from this what you said. Abdullah, I'm 5th in your league. Maybe a few thoughts on my team would be nice. I already did Foden to Odegaard. Let's go and have a look then, Abdullah. Let's go and have a look, my friend. Well done on being 5th in my league. Doing better than me, mate. Got a good chance of the mug, haven't you? Let's have a look. So we asked you a few thoughts on my team would be nice. So I like Pope in goal. I think he's the #1 choice for a goalkeeper if you can afford it in your team. Yeah, we've got the same defenders, so I'm happy with that. Who have you got as your backup? I don't think Nico Williams is a good choice as a backup. I think Bueno's a better choice at this moment in time, but it's not priority for you. They've got City this week. But long term, Cucurella, I don't like the Cucurella shout right now. Certainly with Ben Chilwell on the way back as well. I don't think their defence has settled as yet, so I think you've got some work to do there in the long term for your you know, if one of these players are rested or you want to do any rotation. But so I can see why they're on your bench, and you've got some money tied up in Cucurella as well, 5.2 million. So he's very expensive to be having on the bench. You've already done Foden to Odegaard. I think that's a really good transfer for the long term, without doubt. Are you planning maybe bringing a City defender in for the game week 23 double? Maybe monitoring those in the next couple of game weeks and doing that sort of transfer there would be something I might look to target. You've got the Kane, Haaland, Mitrovic. I'm just not sure about Mitrovic at this moment in time. Is he going to be on penalties? Is he going to be the prolific player that he has been, or is he going to return to the sort of prolificness, you know, that he's shown in previous seasons when playing for Fulham, which hasn't been good? And can Fulham keep it up? I mean, if we look at their position in the league, that, you know, in the European qualifying places, can they keep that up for a whole season? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. I'm not so sure. History tells me teams of a level of Fulham don't tend to keep this up. There's always the Leicester anomaly, but I think they'll be a team that'll struggle in the second half of the season, based on just a gut instinct. So I'm not sure about Mitrovic. I think Nonto is a better pick, going in, you know, certainly as a third bench option, not as a starter. Tony's definitely a better option if you can get to that with the funds. Gone Foden to Odegaard. You've got 1.2, I would imagine, or possibly 1.3 in the bank from that. So maybe that's the transfer to Tony there moving forward. You've got plenty of money in defence already. You don't need to add any there, do you? With Cucurella as an option. And Andreas has just been a fantastic option in midfield. You've got Mitoma in there. Can we Can you possibly upgrade him? He seems to be somebody who plays on the bench. But if you can go to Tony here, maybe 3-4-3 is the option. The only thing I think with the 3-4-3 is once Tony's injured, where one of those are injured, where do you go? Where do you go? Whereas in midfield, if you remember my watch list from earlier, there's plenty of options, I think, at this moment in time. Hence why I'm playing the 3-5-2, mate. I think De Bruyne's going to return this week massively, and there's a double coming up, so he goes nowhere for me. Yeah, those are my thoughts on your team, mate. You've got a playing goalkeeper as backup, albeit in a really terrible team. But at least there's points there for you. At least there's points there for you. And someone to pick when Newcastle have got City. I think that's Arsenal, should we say, because Arsenal are scoring against whoever they play against at this moment in time. Interesting, right? Anybody else? Let me just check if anybody's messaged me on Twitter. Okay, so no messages there, no drops in the drafts there, no notifications, nothing there. Right then, guys, unless you've got any more questions that you want answering, then I am about to say goodbye. The mug is all I want these days. Yes, mate, I'm glad you do. Keep coming for it. I've got one. Like I say, I will send it worldwide. And if you want a mug just like that, you need to win my league and you need to join in the description below. Do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Do give us a like. A cheeky little thumbs up goes a very long way. That's it, guys. Remember, all suggestions in my video are simply opinions. I'm not an expert. I just loves it. Livesey loves it. See you later.